What is going on, New York Yankees fans? AGP back again with another New York Yankees video, a series recap. I will do this basically after every Yankees series, whether it be a 3-game set or a 4-game set or something like that. But anyway, thank you guys, the ones who come out, the ones who subscribe, the ones who comment, the ones who like. We are trending upwards in views and all this stuff, and it's because of you guys. It's not because my content. It's because you guys are loyal to this channel. And I know there's a lot of other YouTubers out there, but at least for the ones that, come to me and view the videos and stuff like that, I really appreciate it. I'm a guy who really appreciates the viewers, unlike some other people. Same thing with the Giants fans. Even if you don't like baseball, you guys still come up here and give the video a like, even if it's not about something that you agree with, or even if it's something that you're not even interested in. Like if you're a Giants fan but you don't really watch baseball, that's okay too. I still appreciate all of you guys. So obviously, the Yankees just lost a 3-game series to their rival Toronto Blue Jays. And did I expect this? I'll tell you what I expected in just like first thoughts and everything else before we go into the recap of game by game. I expected the Blue Jays to be a fierce competitor to the Yankees. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been saying this, people talking about the Rays coming back and people are talking about the Orioles and stuff like that. I'm like, well, the Blue Jays, guys, look at this young core that they have. Vlad Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, and all these other guys. And though their pitching is not the greatest in terms of rotation after Hyun-Jin Ryu, their hitting makes up for it, and their defense and stuff like that. So did it come as a surprise to me in that fashion? Absolutely not. But the way the Yankees are not situationally hitting really bothers me. And, it's a known fact that the Yankees for the past couple of years have been trying to hit the home run ball, not really situational baseball in terms of bunting and small ball. Listen, small ball, in my opinion, is a lost art. I would love to go back to small ball, but the MLB these days is about hitting homers and walking and striking out. Those are the 3 things MLB is about these days, and it's unfortunate. But it is still good, I guess, that high school teams and little league teams practice that stuff. I don't know if college teams do. If they don't, that's kind of a shame as well. So let's get into our first game, which was opening day. We went live that day, so I'll give you guys basically the rundown of everything else. I'll compare the stats in a minute. There's a reason I'm doing that. Situational hitting was missing, and I felt that the third game, which was today, was alike to the first game. Situational hitting was missing. 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Now, I obviously included how many runners are left on base. You're always going to have runners left on base, whether you're crushing the team, whether you're just up by like 2 runs or something like that. But the runners left on base stat applies, especially if you're having a bad game with situational hitting and runners in scoring position. So that's kind of why I just included it in there. I didn't include it in the next game, which was game 2, because basically it was irrelevant. The Yankees won that game, and situational hitting was somewhat better. So in terms of left on base, the Yankees left 10 runners on base and 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position, hence the 3-2 loss. Other than the Teoscar Hernandez homer, I thought Gerrit Cole mirrored Hyun-Jin Ryu's start. If you take a look at the stats up there, both went 5 1/3 innings. Cole gave up 5 hits. Hyun-Jin Ryu gave up 4. Both gave up 2 runs. Both walked some players. Hyun-Jin Ryu walked 1. Cole walked 2. Ryu struck out 5. Cole struck out 8. And both gave up a homer. One was to Sanchez, and obviously the Teoscar Hernandez homer, Gerrit Cole. So I really thought they mirrored each other's starts, not in terms of stats, but just the way they went through it. They obviously had their funks, but I think both of them did really well. And the Blue Jays ended up coming out on top in extra innings. So obviously that played into that. And then obviously something to remark, Gary Sanchez, he started off the season with a bang. Homer, a base hit. He threw out Randall Grichuk at second. Really solid job by Gary Sanchez in game 1. The bullpen did a solid job. I mean, Chad Green came in after him. There were a couple other pitchers that came in after. It wasn't Ludge. I think Loizaga was in there, maybe. But definitely the pitchers that came in after Gerrit Cole definitely secured the job and tried keeping the Yankees in the game. But unfortunately, situational hitting didn't exist. And with the Nick Nelson thing, I do want to explain a little more. I think Nick Nelson is one of my favorite Yankees, one of my favorite young Yankees. I think he definitely could be a role player on this team in terms of relief pitching. But you can't do anything about the second base rule. You can't. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of people did not talk about that rule in terms of like, people like podcasting and tweeting and stuff like that. I am one to talk about rules a lot. And something we will cover on Monday's Boys in the Big Apple podcast is the latest rules that NFL teams are proposing. I'm a big rules guy. And I was talking all summer, and I was talking basically since this pandemic started about these new rules that the MLB was going to implement. And obviously the DH rule didn't come back because the owners, were stubborn and they wanted expanded playoffs. And that was kind of like a negotiation deal, which, obviously that's going to be saved a little bit for Monday. Me, Sean, and Luca will be talking about the Yankees and, basically stuff around the league too. But you can't do anything about the second base rule. You can't. And in that situation, even if, Nick Nelson gave up a double to whoever was on second and then the run scores, you can't not be prepared in that situation. And the situational hitting caught up to them when that second base rule happened. And what happened is the Yankees lost that game. All three retired in the bottom of the 10th. And there will be games like that. Trust me, there will be games like that. And I'm not overreacting or anything here. I'm just stating the facts. You're going to have those games. But the Yankees need to be prepared for that and have some type of situational hitting. And just as I would say a little bit of a relevance point, both teams struck out 13 times. Again, both pitching staffs were good that day. In terms of bullpen, in terms of starters, Hyun-Jin Ryu and Garrett Cole. So obviously this is opening day, game 1. Let's go to game 2. So in game 2, Sanchez hit another homer. Glad for that. He went 1 for 4. He also had a throwing error. I'm going to be honest here. I did not really watch the first half of the game. I caught up in the 6th inning because I was actually on a college tour, stuff like that. I'll explain on a different day. It was a fun day and all, but I caught up to about the 6th inning of the game. So Corey Kluber, 4 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 3 walks, 5 Ks, 1 homer. Obviously that homer I think was to Marcus Semien if I'm not mistaken, but Kluber did well. Obviously a lot of pitchers that get traded over here or signed over here like Sonny Gray and all these other pitchers, they don't make it in New York. They struggle under the New York pressure. And Kluber is showing signs of not doing that. He's showing signs of just being a good pitcher and, being able to throw under the pressure. And obviously with the second game of fans being back in the stadium, he did well. So next up, the Yankees did slightly better with runners in scoring position, 4 for 10, which is about 40%. Jay Bruce, he made some defensive plays and some offensive plays. It was his birthday. I think it was his 34th birthday, if I'm not mistaken. He hit a 2-run single, which made the score, I think, 5-2 at that point in the game. And then some defensive plays at first base, which is what the Yankees have been missing for a little while here. Voit is not necessarily that defensive first baseman like the Mark Teixeiras of the world and the other first basemen of the world. And I think that Jay Bruce offers more than Mike Ford. I think that's what the Yankees saw when Voit went down. Mike Ford was sent down to the minor league camps and he was optioned way before Luke Voit even had this injury. And, they shut him down and everything else. But I think that Jay Bruce offers more than Mike Ford defensively. And though, he's had his struggles and difficult at-bats, I think he offers more than Mike Ford, and I think that's what the Yankees saw. And obviously they gave him the chance when Luke Voit went down with the injury. He's doing okay as of right now. I mean, he's had his bad at-bats, good at-bats, whatever. Defensive plays at first base, definitely. I will get to it in terms of what happened today, but he should have picked the one ball in the dirt that Torres ended up throwing. You got to make that play as a first baseman. Sure, all throws are not going to be the greatest, but as a first baseman, your job is to try to pick that. And, the runner didn't go to second, but once again, you have to try to pick that. But once again, Jay Bruce offers more than Mike Ford. I think Mike Ford is more of the power hitter, kind of the Derek Dietrich of things, not defensively, but in terms of hitting, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Dan Vogelback. Both are lefties, both are first basemen. They're not really defensive, pieces in terms of being at first base, but both, intend to be power hitters, hitting the home run ball. But Ford, he struggled in the last year and a half, including spring training, so that's probably why they sent him down. So Kluber had a decent start, as I read the stats earlier. Lucas Ludge allowed a run. I don't think that was necessarily his fault. There were 2 passed balls, and obviously, with pitchers who weren't really expected to make the roster, they usually get caught by Rob Brantley and the Robinson Chirinoses of the world. But with that, the run he allowed, I think there were some communication issues. If there weren't, I'm wrong. But I think he was just trying to get used to Sanchez, and he allowed a run. But I don't think he did bad. I don't think he did bad, and I think there's definitely room to improve. And you have to be honest here, and we all have to be. He hasn't pitched in a major league game since 2015, and I think he did hella good for a guy who's one of my favorite players. And I say that a lot about different players like Nick Nelson or whoever. But Ludge really impressed me this spring, and I definitely think he should have made the roster. So we'll see what happens with him in the future. But the last bullet point, I am right. And there were two different pages that I commented on. There was Talkin' Yanks and there was Unhinged Yankees. Shout out to them. So Talkin' Yanks put, who's going to get the first hit of the game for the Yankees? And I put Aaron Judge. Happened to be right on that one. Then before the game, I think it was an hour before, Unhinged Yankees puts score predictions for the game, and I put 5-3. Yankees won 5-3. So that's pretty much it in terms of Game 2. That was on April 3rd. Yankees won 5-3, and it's pretty much it for Game 2. Let's go to Game 3. This is Game 3, so obviously, it happened today, and everyone's going to have a better recollection of what happened. So let's start off with an immediate negative. Domingo Germán struggled. There was no doubt about that. He gave up 2 homers, 68 pitches through 3 innings, which is not necessarily ideal. And to be honest with you, I felt bad for Michael King, though he did well. He gave up 1 hit. He retired something like 16 in a row, 3 strikeouts and 1 walk through 6 innings. And this guy, I wasn't crazy about him at first last year. I'm like, who is this guy? Why is he on the roster? I was kind of being irrational. But now that he's impressed me against the Blue Jays, retiring like 16 in a row, definitely he could be a piece in the bullpen. Someone like Jonathan Loaizaga or someone like Chad Green. That's one game, but I'm impressed, I must say. So he kind of kept the Yankees in the game. And through his solid pitching, the offense couldn't do crap once again. As I said, Yankees offense struggling in key situations. The problem with that is obviously, you'll have the strikeouts, but the Yankees were getting under the ball. And, for people who know what I'm talking about, when you get under the ball, you swing like this, hits, a different part of the bat, and it pops up in the air. It's in terms of, not necessarily in terms of like, the person's a bad hitter, but in terms of technique and adjusting to, a curveball, a fastball, stuff like that. So the Yankees kept getting under the ball, hence how many flyouts and stuff like that. As I said, Michael King threw a strong 6 innings. Clint Frazier, heads up base running. I really like that. Frazier's not necessarily your Tyler Wade, and a lot of people, give flock to me about hating Tyler Wade. Just because you have speed doesn't mean you have the IQ to run the bases. I say that all the time as a baseball player and someone who's, seen guys really get thrown out on the bases, but they have speed. I've been through that, and I've seen that. But Frazier's heads up base running on that pop fly, it ended up being a single. Then he goes to second. Then obviously, what happened when he went to third, and then he ended up scoring heads up base running. And that is what the Yankees need. They need smart base runners for times where they don't have offense, and you only have like one runner on base, and he scores on the ground out and whatever. So Frazier, I'm really impressed with in terms of that. 5 left on base, 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Obviously, that's relevant because they had no offense today, other than the 1 run, which is the ground out run. And then obviously you had 2 errors. The Sanchez catcher's interference counts as an error. And the Torres throw, once again, Torres, maybe not the greatest throw, but Bruce as a first baseman really should have tried picking that. So that's pretty much it in terms of, the recap, the series recap. I wanted to make this, not too long. But one player, as a final thought, I'm really concerned with is Aaron Hicks and Giovanni Urshela in terms of the offensive sides. Now, Urshela, he took a couple of bad hacks today, but Urshela, in my opinion, is not going to be the home run hitter. He's going to be, the hitter that gets like singles and doubles and stuff like that. He's more known defensively. That's not necessarily, I'm concerned with him on offense, but it's not like, oh my God, we need to send him down right now. That's not what I'm saying. But in terms of Aaron Hicks, I'm really concerned with him. And, Judge necessarily hasn't gotten the greatest start of the season. Jay Bruce has some bad at-bats, has had some bad at-bats, whatever. But Aaron Hicks, and I feel like he's taking way too many pitches, and then when he gets his pitch, he pops up, grounds out, stuff like that. And I think the 4 outfielders thing is bullcrap, off topic from the Aaron Hicks, which actually has nothing to do with it. But I think this four outfielder bullshit is crap, okay? I don't know what MLB is doing, Listen, if you have problems with the shift, I have problems with the shift, that's a different story. But four outfielders, really? Oh, you gotta be a better hitter. Yeah, really? We're gonna put four out. What is this, Little League? You have a left fielder, a left center fielder, a right center fielder, and a right fielder? Come on, MLB. You gotta do a better job of just implementing proper rules. This is just gimmicky at this point. And I understand people are getting mad about these new rules about, the runner on second base. I get that. And I'm totally on their side. But four outfielders? Are we really doing this? This isn't Little League. Okay? This isn't Little League. This is Major League Baseball. And to be honest with you, I'm going to throw shade out there. Shame on the players for not taking advantage of this with the small ball. I don't care who's up at the plate. Try bunting. Try running it out. Because if the other team, whether it's the Blue Jays or the Rays, wants to be a bunch of smart asses and put four outfielders out there, go ahead and take advantage of that and bunt. Small ball. Something like that. That's the problem I have with this four freaking outfielder rule. A bunch of teams trying to be smart asses out here with the analytics, and then you go out there and, batters struggle because of that. Because of not playing small ball, and the team is analytic based, so they're not going to use small ball. I think it's just stupid. Anyway, Aaron Hicks, final thoughts. He's really concerned me through thus far, and let me look up his average real quick. I don't think it's good. I think it's 083. Yeah, 083 average. And with that, everyone has a slow start. The Yankees are typically known for having slow starts this season. But my thing with that is, he takes a lot of pitches, but then when he gets his pitch later in the at-bat, he's looking for a walk or he's just popping it out. So something needs to be done there. And I may not be getting it 100% right with, what he's doing at the plate, but I think something definitely needs to be changed. Hopefully soon, because if we don't get, everyone talks about the great outfield we have in terms of hitting, in terms of defense. If he doesn't step it up, then we're going to have a long year. I'm just saying, just pointing it out there. I know a lot of people will say, oh, you're overreacting and complaining. No, I'm not. I'm just pointing out the facts. So anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for the ones subscribing, viewing, commenting, stuff like that. I really appreciate you guys. Tomorrow, Boys in the Big Apple podcast around 8-10 p.m. We're going to be a busy podcast. I mean, we'll be keeping up with the Knicks game, keeping up with the Yankees game against the Orioles. We're going to be talking about the NFL rules and, which teams proposed what rules with overtime, stuff like that. We're going to be talking about MLB, stuff around the league. And we're going to play a game called 20 Questions. And it's basically going to be about us and what we like about baseball. So anyway, thank you guys. Obviously, call-in show tomorrow. So if you guys want to call in, I know there's some people that have been really disagreeing with me in terms of what I've been saying, and some people agreeing with me and the usuals. But guys, call in tomorrow. We usually do that. We usually let the viewers on. But anyway, thank you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow, 8-10 p.m.